Hello and welcome. And in this video, I'm talking about how to get 50% more clients from strategy calls. Now, it's a topic that whether you're a coach or consultant, even a service-based business owner, that comes up quite a lot. You may be calling your strategy calls, discovery calls, consultation calls, kind of like the initial piece. But whatever you use it or call it for, I'm going to give you my take on it. Now, if you look at the strategy call, basically it's a lead magnet because what you're doing is effectively offering value in exchange for some time. So the whole point is that the person gets to jump on a call with you for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, maybe a little longer if you do longer ones, but I don't advise you to do super long ones. I think usually within 30 minutes, you could wrap up on a strategy call if you've got the right structure, which I'll be taking you through today. And if you have been following me for this week at least and seeing some of the content we put out, I know it's only Tuesday, you'll probably see that we've also been offering you free access to our reverse strategy call method, where I break down the entire steps of what I'm about to take you through. And there's a PDF as well as a walkthrough video. And if you want access to that, just remember, comment below this video with the word strategy call, and me or one of my team will reach out to you with the free download link. Anyway, let's get into this. Now, the challenge that you're facing when you're doing strategy calls is that the goal, as we've got on the screen right here, is the first goal of the strategy call, as far as I'm concerned, is you simply create an opportunity for your prospects to get value ahead of them being a client, right? And for me, it's more about building up know, like, trust. And if a person's on a call with you, well, it's not just know, like, trust. It's all the other factors that go into it: body language, reading a person, them getting to kind of know you, you getting to know them. However, most coaches and consultants, actually, they end up giving, way too much or way too little because they're scared of giving away all the secrets, and the person's just going to go off and, use whatever they give them. And, leaving your prospects unclear when you give too little about, what they should actually do next, i.e., buying from you. But the challenge is that a lot of coaches, I'd say, especially the startups, not necessarily the established, because the established ones who I tend to work with most, but a lot of startup coaches. However, I've come across a lot of established coaches and consultants who fall into the habit of going about strategy calls in the wrong way. So what I'm going to do is break down how you can handle it in the reverse way, right? So here's the thing. See, most coaches wing it. So they've got no structure, they've got no script, and they've got some type of idea or script, right? But no real structure. And they often get caught between wanting to add value and actually end up coaching the prospect or consulting the prospect on the call. Like, it's a big mistake, but I understand how it happens. And as your business grows, you're going to need a method that's reliable and one that eventually your team are going to use, right? Because I don't expect that you want to be the salesperson all the time. Maybe you want to hire support coaches or salespeople that will eventually do strategy calls for you, right? But for now, maybe you are doing them. Maybe you're the main person who speaks to people and does these. And that's okay. As I said, it's a lead magnet. It's one of many different types of lead magnets that you can offer. I know some people just don't like to do them, and I'll get to that part as well. But the whole point is that you can also, use this when the times come, or comes for you to get help taking some of these calls. And that's the key thing in business. Your business should operate on systems that are scalable, that you can delegate. And the method I'm talking about and going to break down for you in a moment, which is called the reverse strategy call method, is a script that I've come up with over the years and perfected. I've given it to clients, they've used it. And the whole point of the reverse strategy call method and the script that I use is ease with prospects. So what you're not trying to do is jump into selling to them, but you're trying to provide value in a way that they get value without you feeling like you've given them too much, to the point where they feel like, let me go away and try this, and maybe I'll come back to you. Because usually that's what happens, right? If you don't do it the right way, or as I said earlier, maybe you're not giving enough value. The whole point of the method that I'm about to break down with you is that it's a value permission focused environment, meaning that it's all permission first. And I've used this to sell, clients onto tickets for workshops, or even straight into coaching programs, which is usually what I use this method for. So if you are doing strategy calls, discovery calls, consulting calls, that type of stuff, and you are giving up to 30 to 60 minutes, this is vital to you getting predictable results where you are increasing your conversions by 50% or more. Now, before I go any further, guys, if you got any questions or anything you want me to pick up on to help you around your strategy or discovery calls, just comment below and I'll come direct to your comments and answer them uniquely to whatever it is that you're asking. Yeah. So please, I encourage you to do that if you've got any specific questions you want to ask around strategy or discovery calls. So here's the obvious questions. First of all, before I break it down, how do you come across genuine? Usually that's one of the questions. How do I qualify prospects without sounding like I'm asking too many questions, right? Because that's another fear that I've come across with coaches and consultants that they have. How do I get people to answer more difficult questions around current income or revenue or budgets? And how do I create real urgency without kind of, using FOMO just to like push people into action, but like a plausible, valuable, or valid reason, how to use that. And then finally, how do I turn those prospects into clients from the strategy call itself? So here's a couple of rules, but here's how I look at rules. Rules are meant to be broken, but here's what I've found, right? Your goal is not to sell on the strategy call. However, some may buy, and you'll know that the more you get into doing strategy calls and you become more skilled, more experienced, and you understand how to handle prospects who actually they're ready to buy. It does happen. It's a lower percentage, especially if it's a strategy call, a discovery call, but you will get that opportunity. It does happen. I've turned people into clients like in less than 24 hours from them commenting on a piece of content to booking a call with me and then becoming a client, right? But it's a lower percentage. The next rule is never push your ideas onto the prospect. Always check in. Does that make sense? Is that the kind of thing that you could see yourself using? Like, it's so important, because what you don't want is for the person to feel overwhelmed with you being pressured, right? And you might not think it's pressured, but actually when you're pushing your own ideas and you're kind of not checking in on the prospect, you can basically end up with somebody who's dissatisfied with that strategy call, and they won't necessarily say, they'll be like, oh, that was useful, thanks a lot, and go, end of story. So the key here is, third rule is, don't coach or consult, always focus on what they need to do, right? Talk to them about what they need to do, not necessarily the how. And the how may come up, but it's usually low level, because how much how are you going to give one of your prospects in a 30-minute call, a 60-minute call, right? By the time you've asked enough questions to qualify and gather all the information, you're not going to be able to give them the exact hows. And if you are, then the problem that you're solving for your niche is probably not the right problem, and you're not going to be paid in proportion to the size of that problem. So I hope that makes sense. And then the final two rules are, never criticize your prospect. And here it is, be you. If you want to convert more clients on these calls, you've ultimately got to be you. And what I say is, to understand your own values, your own culture. Don't be salesy, don't be pushy, just be authentic. That's the key with these calls. So anyway, now that we understand the rules, how do we get into the reverse strategy call method? What I'm going to do is take you through the process. And then, like I said, if you want a copy of this PDF and the walkthrough video, I've actually got a full walkthrough video that comes with this PDF. Just comment below this video with the word strategy call and I'll make sure you get it. But let me just take you through these key points. The process is simple. You welcome the prospect to the call. You ask them to tell them about your business or their life, depending on what type of service you offer, life coaching, business coaching, or consulting. You're going to ask them to share their top 1 to 3 problems that they'd like help with solving on the call. And you're going to share your ideas to fix each problem, like in order. So you're going to go problem 1, and then you're going to share your ideas. You're going to ask them about the next thing, and you're just going to go in order, right? You're going to use social proof and stories. And usually you're going to do that by talking. Right. So most people are going to be doing these types of calls on Zoom. You're going to ask them if they have any questions to make sure that it's clear, if there's anything else you want to ask. And then what you can do is invite the people that you've spoken to get more help. Now, what you're going to do is send them or offer them the opportunity to find out more about your programs or your consulting services, depending on what you offer. And the way that I do that, I'm going to explain. I'm going to take you through the script in a moment. And step 7 is very simple. Your offer should be sent post-call. It shouldn't really be sent call. As I said, there's going to be a small percentage of people that perhaps just want to know what you do because they've been following you for some time. They book the call really just to have a quick chat with you, just to kind of feel out whether or not they like you. And that's going to be usually a lower percentage of people, usually 3% or less. So don't count on that being the way that you just will show people or send people the offer straight away while they're on the call. You send your offer post-call. And what you're going to do is tell them that there would be a follow-up call for you to chat more. But by then, the whole point is that the person is used to speaking to you, right? They understand you, whether your values align, they like you, they just kind of have a connection with you, and they feel like you're the kind of person that could help them. So let's get into the script itself. There's 3 key parts to the script. There's rapport, value, and transition. And each of those 3 steps, there are mini steps, right? So let's break this down. You must create conversations that include the right questions to produce hot prospects. Because look, at the end of the day, you're doing strategy, free coaching, or discovery calls because you want to convert those leads into becoming hot prospects. And if you don't know the differences, a lead is somebody that you have a name, email, phone number for, or even have them in your DMs, right? They've not really expressed anything to you other than perhaps requesting a lead magnet or just wanting to chat to you. But a person becomes a hot prospect when you are asking them qualifying questions and you know that actually there's the potential for that person to become a client. And, that's just a quick whistle stop tour if you are fresh in the game or, under 2 years. You know what? For some years while I was running my marketing agency, I didn't understand the difference between lead and prospect. So apologies if you already know the difference, but I just want to make it clear so you understand the process of what you actually do with marketing right the way through to sales. So here's the script on how you will convert 50% more prospects on your strategy calls. I'm not going to read everything out here in terms of preparation. If you want these details, remember, just comment below this video with the word strategy call, and I'll send you this PDF that I'm taking you through right now. It is free, and there's a walkthrough video that you can get so that you can use it to construct your own script for your own strategy calls. So the first part of rapport is welcome. You're going to welcome the person to the call. You tell them that you've got them booked into your calendar, how long for, and just get them to confirm, right? And then you're going to show them that there's no risk. So before we get started, I just want you to know that I won't be pitching or selling anything. And the reason why you want to do that is because there's a huge proportion of people out there who are going to be pitching and do that on these types of calls. And so just telling people will help to reduce the risk, and they're going to feel at ease speaking to you. It's the worst thing that if somebody wants to jump on a discovery or strategy call or consulting call, and all you're going to do is just pitch your offer for 30 minutes. It's like, you're taking the piss, really, right? And I don't want you to do that. I want you to respect and honor the person who's turning up to the call and giving you their time. Then the third step in rapport is agenda. You're just going to tell them what you'll be covering and how. And the more you get into this, the more you'll have this nailed. So then you're going to get into part 2, right? So part 2 is all around value. And value is your deeper dive questions. This is where you're listening. And if you've ever done any type of sales or sales training, there is a process called active listening. And active listening means that you actually take notes, or if you've got a photographic memory of some sort, you can just remember stuff. Maybe you remember, here's what I've found. Have a pen and paper or your notepad app on your phone or on your laptop while you're doing these calls. And the reason why I say that is it's faster and better for recall. And you probably most likely, and the research has shown that if you write stuff down, you recall almost nearly 100% of what you take notes on, right? And so the more you do this, the better you'll get, but I'm just sharing that part with you. So make sure you do. So the value is, current situation is, tell me, about your current business, about your life, depending on what type of service that you are working with people for. Jackie will make sure we send you the strategy call details after this live stream. And so the current situation is you finding out exactly what you need to know about them or their business, depending on what type of service you offer, right? Coaching, consulting, life coaching, B2B, B2C, that type of stuff. Now they've told you, and do dig into some of the questions or some of the answers if they're not quite clear. Like, you're okay to do that. This script is more like a guide and a structure. It isn't, that's the only thing that you stick to. You use this to make sure that you've hit the right milestones in the conversations that you're having. The next part is the goal. And the importance of the goal is you know where they are right now because they've just shared that with you, current situation. And now you need to know where they want to be, meaning does your service or can your service that you offer your prospects, do you believe it can actually help the person you're speaking to right now? So they're going to share their goal, whether it's a 90-day goal, a 30-day goal, 12-month goal. You want to ask about their goal in relation to how your service would help them and in what time period, because that way you know that there would be a fit. The third step in value is problems. So where do they need help? And you're going to ask them, tell me a little bit more about your top 3 problems or your top 1 to 3 problems, and let me know what needs fixing. And the cool thing about this, and this is why I call it the value piece, and there's 2 parts to value. So we'll get into steps 4 to 6 in a moment. We've just done steps 1 to 3. The key piece of value is that the person has shared what their problem is. And during that call, you're able to process in your mind and qualify, does this sound like the kind of problem I can help fix, right? And that's what we're doing here. We're using the strategy calls to make sure we are qualifying and determining whether that person is a perfect fit or not. Right? That's the point, right? Second part of value is what. So here's what you can do. So after a person has shared with you what the problems are, you're going to impart your genius knowledge, your expert knowledge, your authoritative knowledge. And the importance of this is that the person has joined you, remember, for this strategy call, discovery call, consulting call, and it's a lead magnet. But at the same time, you need to position yourself, and that's what this part is all about. You actually share, here's what you can do. You're not going to give them the exact how, because remember, it's only a short call. But you're going to give them enough so that they understand, yeah, this isn't something that I'm doing, or compared to the things that they've revealed to you, i.e. the answers to the questions that you've been asking, now you can give them ideas at least, or strategies, explain what can be done in relation to what they've revealed and what you know is potentially missing based on the problems they've shared. Now, here's step 5 in value, seed. As you're talking, you should talk about your methods. You should talk about your clients. You should use client stories, client results. You should talk about your experience, but not in a way that sounds like a CV, but you should talk about these things in how they connect to the problem that they have that you faced before with clients, but help your clients to get over, to get the outcomes that the current prospect you're speaking to is desiring, right? So you're seeding your value throughout the conversation, but it shouldn't feel like a pitch. Hey, Joe. Yeah, we'll make sure we get the strategy call info to you as well. But the cool thing about this is the more you do it, the better you get, right? And this structure, honestly, works every time that I do it. Now, the final piece of value is confirm. And every time you share an idea to help fix one of the top 1 to 3 problems, you're going to say, does that make sense? Is that something that you can use? Because what you're doing is checking in, but you're confirming. It's the check-in, but you're checking in to make sure that it makes sense. And if they're following along, that's what you want. Because if they're not, they're on that call and you're probably not speaking to a hot prospect, or maybe not a prospect at all, maybe cold, right? And so therefore they're not interested. And then the final step with your strategy and discovery calls, consulting calls, is transition. Look, they're on this call and you're speaking to them because ultimately you wanted to show how great you are, knowledgeable you are, and understanding to their current situation, and you've deemed that they're a fit, right? But now we need to transition them from being somebody who's received value to somebody who wants more value, meaning they want to do business with you, right? So the transition piece is big. You're going to go into next step, and next step is what happens next. So at this point, you're going to say, based on what you shared, has this been what I've shared? Has this been useful? And usually you're going to get a yes if you've done your job and given some clear ideas, checked in with them, and they're enjoying this, right? Feels valuable. Would you like to know more about how I can help people like you? And here's my answer to you. At this point, you will have already determined what program would be right for this type of person and what you can offer them, right? I would suggest that if you've got like 2 programs, you might have 2 programs based on what somebody buys as your signature offer, and then they're upsold into something else. I have something similar to that, where a person starts with me, but I also have a second program where if a business is doing 20,000 or more and they want to double their revenue in the next 6 months, then I have a higher level program. But based on what I've spoken to that person about and what they've revealed to me in their answers, I already know what they're a best fit for with the programs that I offer, right? And I also know for the people that aren't a fit, I don't want to offer them any programs, and I won't. But the whole point at this step here, the next step, is you're going to say to them, would you like to know more about how I help people like you? I guarantee you're going to get like 9 out of 10 people who say yes, because why wouldn't they? You've just given them value and they want to know what the next value piece is. So we're going to move into step 2 of transition, offer. So then you're going to tell them about whatever your offer is. It's a very brief tell. So my Vortex program is where I help fix the kind of marketing problems you're experiencing if you're under 15K per month inconsistently. Or I might say my visionary program is for coaches and consultants who are doing 20,000 or more a month and want to double their revenue in the next 6 to 12 months. So that's how I qualify when I'm speaking to a person. And all I'm going to say to them at this point is, would you like me to send you those details by email or on Messenger or however we're speaking, WhatsApp, whatever it is? And I'm telling you, 99% of the time, people will say, yes, send me the details. And your job at that point because you've got all of this valuable information, you probably asked how soon do they want to get this problem fixed, when do they want to get started. Now, what you're going to find is a person who's spoken to you, got value, seen your offer. And remember, you've got to have a good offer. Your offer has to be constructed in a really cool way to make it irresistible. And if you've done that job, you're going to end up with people who then, because you're going to inform them that what happens next, as in the next steps, is what we'll do is jump on another call for 20 minutes and then we can talk about the offer that I'm going to send you. And if you like it, we can then discuss what happens next. And if you don't feel it's right for you, that's okay as well. And the importance of that is you give people a way out by saying that's okay, even if it's a no, right? And then the final piece is, once you've sent them the details, you're going to end the call, you're going to send the details, you're going to make it clear in the email. So I would recommend you email people as well as message them if you're speaking to them on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever platform, WhatsApp, right? So you're going to hit them up in 2 places of communication minimum. So email and instant message on social media. And then what you're going to do is check in with them. As you said you would, you'll follow up with them within about 2 to perhaps 24 hours to find out if they're in to book in the follow-up call, right? And there are a number of ways that you can transition them to a call. You can get them to book in the call while you're still on the first call, but it also depends on the prospect you're speaking to. Most people will like, once they've received the information, to then book in. But here's what I've found. Since I've done that, and I've been using this method for about 4 years now, I have 50% more people who book in for that call and then actually want to become clients. Whereas before, I was falling into the trap of giving lots of value on strategy, discovery calls, and people weren't really like taking the next step, and I didn't know how to get people to take the next step without feeling like I was being sleazy or pushy. And in some instances I was, but not like in an overt way, but in a way where I was feeling awkward. I just didn't know how to transition people. But by using the methods that I've just given you in the reverse strategy call steps, like it's made life so much easier. And here's the cool thing. Now that I have this process, I don't actually have to look at it when I take these calls. I already know what the process is. It's kind of like going to the gym for the first time. The first time you go there, you see all these pieces of equipment and you don't know how to use them. Speak to you in 3 months' time and you know how to use them inside out. Speak to you in a year's time and you've got the technique and everything nailed, right? So I've been using this for more than 4 years. But like I said, if you want a copy of the reverse strategy call method, just comment below this video with the word strategy call and I'll send you the PDF as well as the walkthrough video. And here's the cool thing. If you're looking for help, right, we can jump on a free strategy call, or you can just message me and say, hey, Leon, I'd love for you to tell me more about how you help me double my revenue. But the point I'm getting to is use it to your advantage. And remember, guys, strategy calls aren't where you start coaching or consulting. It's more about gathering and giving enough ideas as to what your prospects can do, what they can do, not necessarily all the ins and outs of how. And I'm saying this because I know some coaches fall into the trap of being on these calls for an hour, even 2 hours I've heard. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I know it happens. Sometimes we're in the desperation of getting the sale. But I just want to share with you that the more tension you put into how you market and sell your business, the less likely it is that you're going to get a client, right? You want to show up authentically, without the tension and the expectation that the person has got to become a client. And what you want is to focus on that value, but having those clear steps with what I've just taken you through with the reverse strategy call method on how to transition that person from being a prospect to being a hot prospect who then wants to find out more about your main offers. And I hope that's helped, guys. So on that note, thank you very much for watching. I'm Leon Street. For those of you on YouTube, please do remember to hit the subscribe button. And if you do have any further questions or you want me to dive in and help you with anything, just comment below this video if you're watching on the replay. And for everybody else, take care. Bye-bye.